हमारे वक्त की धड़कन, हमारा चिंतन, हमारी भावनाएं, हमारे विचार, कभी कोमल बातचीत तो कभी इंटरेक्शन तेज तर्रार। तय करें मिलकर व्हाट इज रॉन्ग, व्हाट इज राइट। ITV पर अशोक व्यास के साथ इनसाइट टुनाइट।
नमस्कार, मैं अशोक व्यास। कार्यक्रम का नाम इनसाइट टुनाइट विद अशोक व्यास। और आज हमारा सौभाग्य है कि हमारे साथ एक ऐसी शख्सियत हैं जिन्होंने भारत की कई रूपों में सेवा की है एंड हिज नेम इज वेरी वेरी वेल नोन बाय द कमीशंस दैट ही हेडेड एंड ही इज रिटायर्ड एज जज फ्रॉम सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया। बेलूर नारायण स्वामी श्री कृष्णा और जस्टिस श्री कृष्णा would turn 73 this month, but the youthfulness which he carries with him, with his knowledge of almost 11 different languages and interests in varied subjects. I have the pleasure of his presence here at ITV studio, and I want to extend warm welcome to him.
Namaskar. Namaskar. Thank you.
So Justice Sri Krishna, when we are growing up, there is a lot of uncertainty in our mind in terms of the career that we would like to pursue. So at what point you felt that judiciary or legal track is my passion?
Frankly, it was providential and not a chalked out career as far as I'm concerned. Factually, my father was a very senior lawyer in the Bombay High Court, and he was keen that my two elder brothers, one of them should become a lawyer. Neither of them was prepared to do it. They wanted to go into technical lines. One became a mechanical engineer, the other became a chemical engineer. And when my turn came, my father wanted me to go in for the IAS examination, but somehow that didn't appeal to me. And those are the days when we had Bhabha, atomic energy, these are the nuclear energy, and these are the buzzwords in those days. So I was attracted by it, so I decided to do pure science. I joined BSc. After the BSc, I had applied for MSc in quantum mechanics or nuclear physics, one of the two. And then we were having a family dinner. So my father accidentally said, you can't be a good lawyer unless you have some type of super brain or something of that sort. And unfortunately for me, I can't resist a challenge from anybody, including my father. So I told him, what's so great about it? If you can be a good lawyer, I can be a better lawyer. He didn't like it. And he quoted one Sanskrit proverb which says, Vaktum sukaram dushkaram adhyavasitum. That means it is easy to talk, but it is very difficult to show it in practice. I said, is that so? Very well. Next day morning, I went and joined the law college. And thereby hangs the tale. I say in half jest and half seriousness that the gain of the scientific community is the loss of the legal community, because I became a lawyer thereafter.
So there's a gain of legal community, is also gain of India in a way where brain like the one that Justice Sri Krishna is endowed with is applied towards legal system at various levels. So let's talk stage by stage, change of role, first as attorney from this side in the court, then becoming a judge. How was it internally when you perceive now you are going to take care of different sort of responsibility? What is the feeling like?
That again was God's hand. In the year 1990, by 1990 I had already put in about 28 years as a senior, and I had also become a senior advocate of the Bombay High Court. I was very much settled in practice, very much in demand, and I had a huge practice also. In 1990, there was some problem with 7 judges at the Bombay High Court. There were serious allegations of corruption, etc. against them, as a result of which Some of them were not even given work, some of them were forced to resign, and there was a sudden vacancy. So the then Chief Justice, one day suddenly, I was not even in Bombay at that time. I had gone to the Supreme Court to work out a matter. I came back and I saw a note on my table saying the Chief Justice wants to meet you urgently. So I thought maybe something connected with some case I was arguing. So I went back to his chamber and said, Chief, I am here. What can I do? So he said, sit down, and said, Srikrishna, I want you to become a judge. I was taken aback. I said, Chief, why me of all the persons? I am happy in life. He said, no, the High Court is in serious crisis. We need good persons to take care of the High Court and keep its reputation. So I told him, Chief, give me 7 days time because I do not know whether my financial position will enable me to carry on as a judge. You know, in those days, the High Court judges got a salary of 3,500 or something of that sort.
And that too in Mumbai?
Yeah, in Mumbai. So I said, I don't know, let me see. And then I went home, talked to my wife, and I said, hey, look, your financial position is going to come down drastically by a factor of 30 or 40. Do you think you can carry on with this? She was very supportive. She said, don't worry. Whatever you want to decide, you decide. You want to take that as a career option, I am willing to go with you. So with a lot of courage, I went back to the Chief Justice after about 5-6 days and said, Chief, I'll accept it. And thereby I hung a tail. I became a judge and I never looked back. I sort of modulated my vision on life and said, this is my life. And I'll carry on with this happily. But I must confess that even as a judge, I never felt unhappy that I did not have money or did not have the financial support which I had earlier.
Vision of life, modifying vision of life, taking this phrase and going a little back in terms of the stages in Justice Srikrishna's life. And as I talk to him, let me remind you, there is much more about him, his role, that has affected many people, and many people are still talking about the way he conducted investigations as head of various important inquiries in the independent India. But we go back with him since he mentioned about seeking the advice from his wife. So overall happiness of a person, whether he is an attorney or a judge, for you, I think there has been a wholesome understanding of life by virtue of your interest in culture, etc. So tell us, what is it that makes a man happy?
What is it that makes a man happy? Not hankering after something that he does not have. See, I am a serious student of Vedanta. What does the Hindu philosophy tell you? It tells you that you are sampurna by yourself. You are totally full. And it is only when you feel that you are incomplete that you hanker after something. So, money, I think getting money would make me complete, make me full. Therefore, I hanker after money or any of the things that you think in life. If you do not hanker after anything, you are happy because your nature is one of happiness. Your real essence is one of happiness. It's only this superimposed ignorance that you are not happy that makes you chase things in life. So I'm happy whatever I do.
So you are complete. When you hear it, it's very difficult to believe that, because many of us are craving or we want this or that to be a part of us, to feel complete or have that sense of fulfillment and happiness. Indeed, money is an important aspect in that scheme of things. But continuing with this line of thinking where the conviction of fullness within is a part of your experience. And at later stage, once someone from Reader Digest came, sat with you, they wanted to see how is your daily practice of worship. How was it for you to allow someone who is not a part of the familiar setting and observe such an intimate and subtle, call it activity, if I refer to it as that?
There can't be any objection to that, because what I did every day. I didn't have to put on an act or anything like that. And I only asked him this question and say, are you willing to come at 5 o'clock in the morning? Because that's the time when it whole thing starts. He said, yes, I'm willing to come. He came there with the camera and ready. He said, you observe what you want to see. And then he sat through that. That was a Friday, and on Fridays I have a long puja. He sat through the whole puja and then went and wrote a big article with photographs in the Reader's Digest. One of the issues, I forget the issue. And that is how, maybe he wanted to know what makes me tick. And I showed him, this is what makes me tick. That's my inner strength. I don't have anything else.
So you learned that also from your father? How?
Yes, that's from my father, from my uncle, from my grandfather. All of them had a lot of influence on me as a child. And that is where I grew up, in a family where money was important, but there were more things that were greater things that were of greater importance. And that was impressed upon me from the childhood. So today I'm in a situation, I have a lot of money, I'm happy. If I don't have a lot of money, then also I'm happy.
So you were born in Bangalore, you came to Mumbai, and then Mumbai has its special culture or flavor, different colors with a broad landscape of activities. Bollywood is a part of Mumbai, and so share with us, being deep-rooted, if I refer to it, in your faith as a Hindu, and the communal kind of environment arising in Mumbai, what that made you feel, and your perception, the way Hindus were perceived, was it also changing at that time in Mumbai?
I've been asked this question. And I have said, I love all religions because I basically have infinite, unshakable faith in my own religion, in my own philosophy. Because I love my own philosophy, my own religion. I love everybody's religion, everybody's philosophy. Now, as far as the communal thing is concerned, till the year that I was asked to head the commission, till about 1992, I never felt that there was this atmosphere in Bombay at all. Of course, that was good old Bombay in the days. It was not called Mumbai. And probably when it started, its appellation as Mumbai, that things deteriorated. And this communal atmosphere was whipped out only for political reasons, by interested political actors. Now, my only question which haunted me when I was asked to head that commission was that here I am, practicing and an openly practicing Hindu. In fact, every Friday I would appear in the courts with a big tikka on my forehead, sitting on the bench as a judge with a tikka on my forehead right up to the last day in the Supreme Court, and even now. Will everybody have faith in me? In fact, I was told later that when I first started the commission, and that happened to be a Friday, I think, with a big tikka on my forehead, some of the Muslim gentlemen who had attended that, including the late Burhanuddin Sahib's representative, they said, Abhi hum mare gaye. Because they thought he is a Kattar Hindu and we don't expect any justice from him. But there is one preliminary thing I must tell you. When this was in the year 92, December, January. That is when the riot started in Mumbai. I was in office for a year and a couple of months. Probably the junior most. From the bottom, I was second or third or something like that. The then Chief Justice, when the government wanted to set up a commission, they asked the Chief Justice to nominate a judge. They wanted a sitting judge to do that because of the importance. Then the Chief Justice started from the top Everybody said no, 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 and it came down to me almost at the end of the tail. And then the Chief Justice called me into the chamber, and then when the Chief Justice asked me and said, will you do this? I said, I don't know, I am a new judge here. It's a challenge, I am willing to accept the challenge, whatever it is. But I have one reservation. The Chief Justice said, what is the reservation? I said, hey, look, everybody knows that I am a devout practicing Hindu. Do you think people of other religion will have faith in me, what I do, what I say? What the Chief Justice said was very impressive and very apt. The Chief Justice said, I know you for sure that the moment you don the court robes and sit in the judge's chair, you know for yourself that you are a judge, not a Hindu, not a Muslim, not a Christian, not a Jew. I know you will be able to do it. Please do it. So I said, if you have so much faith in me, I am very happy. My confidence is increased. I'll do it from tomorrow.
So confidence increases from the way you are perceived, and the way you are perceived has a lot to do with the way you manifest the truth within yourself. There is much more that we should learn from Justice Srikrishna. We need to know a lot about this commission which he headed, and then which was disbanded in 1996 by the Shiv Sena-led government in Maharashtra. How was this journey of reaching to the conclusions and recommendations of this commission? And there are other commissions that he has been a part of, including Telangana, and also one which has been implemented already to great extent. We'll talk more about the life and, if I say, legacy of Justice Srikrishna right after this break. Welcome back. You're watching Inside Tonight with Ashok Vyas, and my guest today is Justice Srikrishna. So, Justice Srikrishna, now many of us are not aware how this inquiry commissions, etc., functions, and what authorities they have, and what are the resources that are at their disposal. So, in order to conduct this kind of investigation, probably in addition to the legal framework, you need some additional administrative skills or maybe certain knowledge of how to get all that is needed to reach to the bottom of this. So share with us your journey, how you started and all.
Okay. In India, we have an act known as the Commissions of Inquiry Act. Now, that act says whenever there is a matter of public importance, the state government or the central government may set up a commission of inquiry, which need not be always headed by a judge, but it may also be headed by a judge, depending on the importance of the issue. And then that commission has to make a report to the government within a time frame that is given. And that report has to be placed before the legislature, either in the state or in the center, within a period of 6 months, together with an action taken report. This is the broad framework. The Commission of Inquiry is not a court of law. Its findings are not binding, nor do they result in a decree which is enforceable. But its report has great value, particularly if it is headed by a sitting judge of a high court or a Supreme Court, and then has to be looked at with great seriousness, and its recommendations have to be implemented by the government that appointed it, unless there are extraordinary good reasons for not doing it. This has been the general pattern of operation of this. Now, in this case, what happened is, the party in power when the commission was set up was the Congress party in 1992 January. And as the evidence unfolded, now the evidence before the Commission of Inquiry is all the investigation that is done by the police. There was a series of incidents which took place: murders, stabbing, arson, looting, all kind. Now, people who are affected thereby, or people who had knowledge of it, they come file their affidavits before the commission, and they are subjected to cross-examination by persons who are likely to be affected by what is stated in the affidavit. Now, there were at least 15,000 documents filed before me, and about 500 or 600 witnesses who had come before me. Each one had to be given an opportunity of saying what he or she wanted, and the lawyers represent, I think there was about 17 lawyers representing different interests who had to be permitted to cross-examine them. That's why it took such a long time. At the end of all that, analyzing the evidence, the commission set forth its conclusion. Actually, some of the witnesses examined were not even direct eyewitnesses. For example, Ratan Tata was one of the witnesses. Then our Rajdeep Sardesai was one of the witnesses. So many journalists were witnesses. Now, all this evidence is analyzed, and the conclusions of the commission are set forth in the report. Then the commission also has made recommendations of how to avoid such incidents in future. Fortunately, I think the 250 to 60 pages of the report itself, plus about 500 pages of the evidence, it's all made together and given to the government as soon as the commission's work was over. But unfortunately, in this case, what happened is, by the time the commission gave its report and made a categorical finding that there was the hand of a particular political party in engineering the riots and in virtually going around decimating people, with some kind of a communal pogrom was instituted, that party came into power. And obviously, that party had communal vision of the whole thing. And the chief minister on the floor of the legislature made a statement and said, this report will not be implemented because it is a Hindu Dveshi report. That means it is an anti-Hindu report. So in fact, I remember there was a press conference where the journalists and the media persons asked him a question and said, how can you say it's a Hindu Dveshi report, because that judge who did this is known as a Kattar Hindu, probably more Hindu than you are. Anyway, ultimately they took a political view of that and decided not to implement it. Thereafter, there was a series of writ petitions in the High Court. The matter went right up to the Supreme Court, saying that they should be directed to, I think this is probably only in commission in which case the High Court interfered, the Supreme Court interfered for implementation of some of the recommendations. All that the commission said is, these are the cases where the action of the police, where the action of the political persons are suspect. Therefore, they should be investigated and appropriate cases filed against them. The government was not willing to do that. See, the commission cannot punish the persons. The commission is not a court, as I said earlier. All that you can say is, hey, there is sufficient evidence here, investigate it, and then take action according to law. The government was not prepared to accede to that recommendation also. Thanks to the intervention by the High Court and the Supreme Court, part of it was implemented. Large parts of it were not implemented. They are still lying in cold storage.
So Justice Srikrishna, and many of us have heard this many times referring to the news headlines. So Justice Srikrishna in the limelight, and then the kind of inner material that is required to face all these challenges. Though we have heard initially the reason for him to join the legal profession was a challenge that came his way from his father himself, and then again he took up the challenge of heading this commission. Now again there is a challenge, there is a sense of disappointment in a normal human being when you have worked so hard, sincerely, with integrity, and after 5 years of your hard work, the whole thing is disbanded, disowned by the government. How that makes you feel, how you come to terms with it?
Disappointment, a little bit of disappointment, yes. But ultimately that doesn't affect me, because my job is to carry out a duty that was given to me. And as all Indians have learned it from childhood, the teaching of Bhagavad Gita is, do your duty, don't expect anything in return. So my job is to come out with the report. Whether the report is implemented or not, it's not in my hands. And that didn't affect me at all. Even I know, only thing is it affected a large number of poor people who were the victims of these incidents. As far as I'm concerned, I believed in it and I continue to believe. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. That is the teaching of B.N.Srikrishna in the Bhagavad Gita.
So there is always limitation of time. So I want to touch a little bit towards the other aspect, wherein you find someone who has such a busy schedule, still managing to learn new languages, and you did masters in Sanskrit also. How that interest is sustained?
No, Sanskrit was some kind of a family heirloom. Both my grandfathers, my uncle, they were all great scholars. It's unfortunate that I did not devote much attention to what they were telling me as a child. But it is fortunate that whatever I learned as a child from them stood in great stead for me. And thereafter, when I was much older, when I was in my late 20s, I decided that I must systematically study. So I went to a Guruji who was in Bombay. And I used to study from him. And then while I was studying, there was this occasion where my wife wanted to do her MA in English literature from Mysore University as an external student. I was very busy in my practice. Right from the age of 21, I was busy in my practice, and by the time I was late 20s, I had already built up sufficient work for me. So I said, hey, and I just took the prospectus of the university and I was thumbing through it, and I saw MA as Sanskrit from external, as an external student. So I said, hey, let me also do it. So I applied to it. And then I told my Guruji, he started laughing. He said, you already know much more than this. Why do you want to waste your time? He said, no, let me do it for the fun of it. He said, okay, do it. And I'm sure you will not get anything less than first class in that. And so did I get first class.
तो आप संस्कृत के अलावा और कौन-कौन सी भाषाएं बोल सकते हैं, पढ़ लिख सकते हैं?
जी, मैं हिंदी बोल सकता हूँ, पढ़ लिखता हूँ. मराठी बोल सकता हूँ, पढ़ लिख सकता हूँ. कन्नड़ा तो मेरी मातृभाषा है, उसमें तो कोई दिक्कत ही नहीं. तमिल भी पढ़ लेता हूँ, बोल सकता हूँ, लिख सकता हूँ. मलयालम लिख सकता हूँ. तेलुगु थोड़ा बहुत, चड़कू की भी जानकारी रखता हूँ. संस्कृत तो है ही, इंग्लिश है ही. इसके अलावा मैंने बंगाली भी सीखी, क्लासेस अटेंड करके बंगाली सीखी, और मुंबई के चीफ काजी से उर्दू भी सीखी थी, एडवांस डिप्लोमा इन उर्दू. और when I was very young, I had gone to Russia on a university exchange program. So I was so impressed by Russian language, and after coming back, I joined classes there, and I did Indo-Soviet Cultural Society used to have classes in Russian language. I did all their 5 exams, and that lady, she was a Russian from Kiev University, so she was willing to offer me a scholarship and say, you come to Kiev, I'll give you a full scholarship for studying further. And I said, sorry ma'am, I'm already in a career, I can't come. So I studied Russian. और क्या है ऐसे तो
ये जो सीखने की आपकी ललक है, इसके लिए क्या कोई विशेष पद्धति है आपके भीतर की भाषाओं को सीखना आपके लिए इतना आसान हो जाता है? क्या टिप आप दे सकते हैं?
नहीं, मुझे ऐसा नहीं लगता है. शायद मेरे ब्रेन में कोई वायरिंग ऐसा है कि किसी भी भाषा, अब चाहे चाइनीज़ हो, चाहे इंसिडेंटली मैं जापानी भाषा अभी भी पढ़ रहा हूँ, अभी भी सीखने का प्रयास कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन वक्त नहीं मिल रहा है मुझे. ऐसे कुछ है मेरे ख्याल से, वो डीएनए में कुछ ट्यूनिंग किया हुआ है, जिसके वजह से मैं किसी भी भाषा में आसानी से सीख लेता हूँ. इसीलिए मैं कह रहा था कि मैं इज़राइल गया था, वहाँ के यूनिवर्सिटी बार इलान में एक लेक्चर देने के लिए मुझे बुलाया गया था. मैं गया तो देखा सभी जगह हिब्रू भाषा है. मैं 4 दिन रह गया. 4 दिन में काफ़ी हम लिपि सीख ली हिब्री की. ऐसे बोर्ड पढ़ते हैं कि अथवा इधर रास्ते के जो बोर्ड से होते हैं, वो पढ़ लेते हैं। 4 बार देख लें तो जानकारी आ जाती है कि कैसा लिखा जाता है, भाषा कैसी लिखी जाती है। ऐसे ही होता है, बस इसके अलावा क्या है।
तो कुछ बातें विलक्षण हैं जिसके बारे में, जिसके भीतर से वो प्रकट होती है उसको खुद पता नहीं होता है, पर कुछ और बातें पता करने की कोशिश करेंगे हम जस्टिस श्री कृष्णा की उपस्थिति का लाभ लेते हुए इस छोटे से ब्रेक के बाद। वेलकम बैक टू इनसाइड टुनाइट विद अशोक व्यास। मेरे साथ हैं जस्टिस श्री कृष्णा। और अब जब हमने उनसे सुना 11 भाषाएं वो अच्छी तरह बोल सकते हैं, तो भाषा को लेकर भारत में कई तरह के झगड़े होते रहे हैं और कई बार कुछ राज्यों के विभाजन में कहीं न कहीं भाषा का भी स्थान रहा। पर हाल ही में जो नया राज्य बना है तेलंगाना, सीमांध्रा, आंध्र प्रदेश 2 भागों में बंटा, उसके संबंध में भी एक आयोग का चेयरमैन के रूप में आप उसके बारे में कुछ बताएं। आपकी जो फाइंडिंग्स थी और जिस तरह से इम्प्लीमेंट किया गया, आपको कैसा लगा?
अच्छा, वो जो आयोग बिठाया गया था तेलंगाना के विभाजन करने के लिए, या विभाजन किया जाए या न किया जाए, इस चर्चा के लिए, तो उसलिए मुझे आंध्र प्रदेश में काफ़ी, तेलंगाना एरिया में काफ़ी चक्कर ले जाना पड़ा। हम हर गांव में जाते थे, वहाँ बैठक लेते थे, लोगों से सलाह मशवरा करते थे, लोगों की राय सुनते थे। कर के शुरुआत में जब हुई तो all the people were saying that it's a question of non-development of the Telangana area. So then I said, okay, let's examine the facts and figures. Now when we asked for the facts and figures, we found out that there was no truth in this argument, that there was development had been deliberately neglected in the Telangana area. So at some stage, I put it across to them and I said, hey, on development, I'm sorry, your argument falls flat. Then they turned around and said, whatever it is, it's a question of Atma Gauravam. Atma Gauravam means it's self-respect. Well, what argument can you suggest to a person who says, no, I want to do it because it is of my self-respect? Anyway, in the government in the terms of reference had said that we should give all optimal solutions. We gave them 6 solutions. One of them saying that don't divide it at all. The other one saying if you divide, what method you should, in what method you should do the division. And so whether Hyderabad should be part of Telangana, should not be part of Telangana, should be an independent union territory. After doing all that for a period of 18 months, I think, when the report was given, the government of India just sat on that. And it's only at the time when the election was announced that they suddenly woke up to it, and then they went and did exactly what we told them not to do. Again a question of कर्मण्येव अधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन।
और बहुत अनरूली सिचुएशन संसद में भी जब तेलंगाना के इशू पर बात हुई तो सुनने को मिली, और कई प्रतिनिधियों ने जो जनता का प्रतिनिधित्व करते हैं उन्होंने बड़ी निराशा जताई, बल्कि कुछ इस तरह के वक्तव्य भी आए कि जो वर्तमान सरकार है उनके द्वारा ये कार्यवाही ऐसी की गई जैसे ब्रिटिश भी नहीं करते। असंतोष कई तरह के वक्तव्यों को जन्म देता है, पर संतोष की बात ये रही कि आपने जो एक कमीशन, फाइनेंशियल सेक्टर लेजिस्लेटिव रिफॉर्म्स कमीशन की तरफ से जो सजेशन दिए उनके बारे में सकारात्मक कार्यवाही हुई।
दो कमीशन के बारे में मैं ये कह सकता हूँ कि सकारात्मक कार्रवाई तुरंत हो गई थी। पहला कमीशन था 6th पे कमीशन। 6th पे कमीशन ने सबके वेतन बढ़ा के दे दिया, इजीली अबाउट 250-300% इंक्रीज। तो सबके सब खुश हो गए थे, और इसके वजह से
तो मुझे ये कहना है कि श्री कृष्णा जी के कमीशन के द्वारा लक्ष्मी जी का प्रवाह जो है वो तो सरकारी,
ठीक, सरकारी अफसरों के पॉकेट में लक्ष्मी के प्रवाह आ गया, तो लक्ष्मी को कौन मना कर सकते हैं। इसके लिए श्री कृष्णा का पे कमीशन भी इम्प्लीमेंट हो गया। अच्छा, अभी दूसरी बात ये है कि ये जो FSLRC यानी फाइनेंशियल सेक्टर लेजिस्लेटिव रिफॉर्म्स कमीशन, उस वक्त द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया केम टू द कंक्लूजन दैट इफ वी हैव टू बिकम फर्स्ट रैंक प्लेयर्स इन द फाइनेंशियल फील्ड इन इंटरनेशनल सर्कल्स, our financial apparatus needs to be revamped. That is the reason why the commission was set up. So we did study various financial setups in Australia, England, Singapore, and then we came to the conclusion that there are certain basic structural changes to be made in the financial architecture in our country. So we recommended it. Now the government of India in the finance department is accepting it, but they were unable to implement it fully because we have suggested some long-range changes to the law, and that cannot be done except by Parliament. And you know what was happening in Parliament in the last so many years. So the Finance Ministry has issued a handbook saying that all such, they call it the low-hanging fruit, all such recommendations which do not require parliamentary legislation should be departmentally implemented. So a large setup has been done, a large set of recommendations have been implemented bit by bit, and it's still going on. And hopefully, on 16th, the new government will take over, whether it is the same. I'm not concerned with the parties, but a new government will take over. So whichever is the government, they will decide on what needs to be done. Either this needs to be taken further or buried.
तो क्या सरकार निर्णय लेती है, किस तरह से निर्णय लेती है, वो भी कई बार एक अलग प्रकार का मनोरंजन जनता के लिए कर देता है, खास करके जब चुनाव समीप हो। तो हाल ही में कानून मंत्री ने ये घोषणा की कि एक कमीशन बिठाया जाएगा जो ये जांच करेगा, स्नूप गेट नाम से एक स्कैंडल। तो ऐसी खबरें आती रही कि बहुत जस्टिस उसके लिए मना करते रहे।
हाँ, वो सच्ची बात है, मना करते रहे इसलिए कि सभी को ऐसा महसूस हुआ कि ये पॉलिटिकली मोटिवेटेड है, यानी कोई इसके पीछे कोई राजकीय प्रकरण है। इसके वजह से, और एक बात तो है, किसी जज या सिटिंग हो या रिटायर्ड हो, एक राजकीय अखाड़े में घुसना नहीं चाहता है। जो भी करना चाहता है वो ओपनली, ट्रांसपेरेंटली और सबूतों के आधार पर, इसलिए वो उसमें हस्तक्षेप करने के लिए मना कर दिए। अभी ऐसे सुनने आया कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने कल बता दिया कि ये हम नहीं करेंगे, ये अभी दूसरा जो सरकार आएगी, दूसरी सरकार, वो चाहे तो करेगी।
तो दूसरी सरकार आने की तैयारी में है, और किस तरह से भारत कार्य करता है। कई बार हम ये देखते हैं कि अमेरिका का जो फाइनेंशियल स्ट्रक्चर है वो ऐसा अगर अच्छा है तो उसकी कुछ बातें हमारे भीतर आनी चाहिए। एट द सेम टाइम सो मेनी पीपल हैव स्टार्टेड leaving India, residing abroad. So there is an overlap area where sometimes the question of which country's law should be binding makes a little bit confusion. For example, recently this Devyani case also, India was saying as per Indian law this is. So now before I suggest you to respond, is there any need, do you think, where there should be a joint legal committee kind of situation between two nations?
No, there is really no scope for this kind of fighting at all. Principles of international law are clear. Each nation is sovereign. Let's understand that. No nation has to surrender its sovereignty to anybody else. चाहे वो अमेरिका हो, चाहे छोटा देश हो, they are equal as far as international law is concerned. But if each person starts behaving like a Delhi Darbar ka Sardar, then there will be clash. So therefore the international law says that in some matters you have to be guided by this kind of conventions. The conventions have been recognized right from the time of the First World War, and the UN has a series of conventions which are accepted and to which several countries have become parties. You have to sign it and say, हम ऐसे कार्रवाई करेंगे, ऐसे कार्रवाई करेंगे, ऐसी कार्रवाई करेंगे. That is binding on them. But true, ultimately, this is voluntary. Supposing I say I don't want to agree to it, nobody can force you. And then what happens? The only thing is military. What happened in Iraq, Iran? What happened in Saddam Hussein's case? What happened in Osama bin Laden? All this will happen.
So ultimately, we should respect each nation as a nation.
Absolutely.
And talking about respecting each human being, if that was the case, then there was many times no need for lawyers to intervene. But there are relationship-oriented problems. So when a couple moves to for example, America from India, and there are certain laws which are binding because you are an Indian or now you are in America. So have you come across situations where people find themselves in a little bit of...
Oh yes, there is. In fact, there have been several cases. The Supreme Court has gone one step ahead in India and said that if, most of the time this happens, like somebody is already, some boy is resident in America and he has got a good job, and then this craze of going to America, they will try to find out a girl in India. But someone, when it comes to a marriage, he will always choose an Indian girl. He doesn't want to get married to a local girl. And that lady will come here. After some time, there will be a tussle, there will be a breakdown of marriage. And the question is, what happens to the girl? What happens to the children? What happens to the property? All these kinds of problems are there. And there are also cases where you have some situation where the religion itself is changed in order to get out of the marriage. There are distinct principles by which these are resolved. There can't be one law which is applicable to all nations, but there can certainly be a method of resolution of disputes between the laws of different countries, and that is what is known as international law.
So talking from international to law to the universal human being, Justice Srikrishna, before I let him go, we didn't talk much about his interest in music. Not only he knows 11 languages and has headed many important inquiry commissions in India, he also has love for mathematics, and as he is appreciating the fullness of life, before I let you go, sir, what is it that has been most satisfying in your journey as justice?
Those occasions when you can do justice to a person who really deserves it, justice to a person who is really not able to fight back because of his economic situation, because of his lack of knowledge, because of his total unawareness of the rights that the Constitution has given to him or her. And on the other side, you have a rich person with crores of rupees at his command and dozens of senior lawyers appear to him. In this unequal fight, if you can somehow or the other hold the scales even, that's the greatest joy.
And your dream for future now, what is exciting?
For future is, I don't know, right now I'm too busy doing all kinds of private work. Hopefully one of these days I'll give up everything and then I want to go back to my own studies, my own religious scriptures which I want to study more seriously.
Writing?
No, I don't think I'm going to write anything. I'd be happy if I can catch up with all the writing that has been done by great people.
Wonderful. So continuing his association with greatness in his own unique way, Justice Srikrishna, former judge of Supreme Court of India, joined us here, right here in New York, all the way from India. Thank you very much for being with us, sir.
Thank you. Namaskar. Thank you.
And this is Ashok Vyas, thanking all of you for being a part of Insight Tonight with Ashok Vyas. Good night.